Okay, so we are up to Mishlei 12:6, and this is one that I don't think I've ever done. The meforshim are not very vocal, so we might be more on our own than we usually are, but have no fear. Okay, Divrei Rashaim Erev Dam Ufi Yesharim Yatzileim. Anyone want to take a stab at the translation?
Yeah, I don't know what Erev is, but the words of the wicked, something blood.
Okay, the words of the wicked. Anyone know what Erev is?
A mixture.
That is with an ayin. It's not the most common word, but it comes in Mishlei a lot. So Erev is ambush. I'm just actually going to see if there's if the dictionary has another word for it. Oops.
Is that related to like a plague, like locusts or something?
No. I don't think so. I don't think so. Lion wait. Yeah, ambush, lion wait. Okay, so I'll say lion wait. The words of the wicked lie in wait for blood. Ufi Yesharim Yatzileim.
Oh, and the words of the Yesharim will rescue them?
Okay, so more literally though, it might mean the words, but what's the literal? P Yesharim.
Mouth, the mouth.
Yeah, the mouth of the upright will, what did you say?
Will save them or
save them. Yep, save them. Okay, good. All right, words of the wicked lie in wait for blood, and the mouth of the righteous. Or actually, we could say either and or but. I think there's an argument to be made for both of them here. Okay, so we have no Matus Tzion, and we have no Targum Sadigon. We just have the Targum of Ksuvim, which is Mile Derashie Kamyan Lidma. That's just a straight up translation. The words of the wicked hide for blood. Upumhon de Tiritze Maftze Lahon. And the words, actually, I did not look up Maftze. Let me just look at that really quickly. I'm pretty sure it is, if I can't find it really quickly, then I'll just assume it's the same. Maftze, let's see here. Maftze, Mafetz is, yeah, I can't even look it up. All right, fine. So we're going to assume that's the same. Okay, so let's do the English now. Our English translations, I think, are also pretty straightforward. Our scroll says, the words of the wicked lie in ambush for blood, but the mouth of the upright will rescue them. That's basically what we said. Living nach, hold on just a second. Sorry. Let me go back 1 second. I got to save my file with the right name. This is analysis notes. Okay. Okay, so our scroll says, yeah. All right, Living Nach says the words of the wicked are bloody ambush. Okay. Erev Dam. So it's learning it as a noun. Are bloody ambush, but the upright are saved by their own mouths. Okay. So that's taking a stance on who the them is. Okay, which is gonna be a question. Alter says the words of the wicked are a bloody ambush. Oh, they also say that. All right, interesting. I'll keep that up there. But the mouth of the upright will save them. And then Alter comments, he says the vague pronomial object, which means them, right, will save them. So we don't know who the them is, would be the victims of the wicked who appear in the first verse. Okay, so that's his opinion, but I think that's a deliberate ambiguity. Okay, so let's just keep it. Let's do this. Let's make it like that. And there we go. Okay, so what are other questions here?
a lot of questions?
Okay. Oh, a lot. This is not one of the ones that's obvious, Ariel.
No, it's not.
Okay, Isaiah.
The first question that came to my mind was who was being saved.
Okay, right. That is going to be a basic factual question. Who is the them that is saved? Okay, so one possibility is it the would-be victims of the wicked, or what would the other possibility be?
The Yesharim.
Yeah, or the upright themselves, right? The Yesharim.
Could it be the Rasha?
Upright. Theoretically, it could be, but I feel like it's probably not, because I don't think we want to save the Rashaim. Theoretically, it could be though. Okay, yeah, Tamar.
What does Erev Dam mean? Like whether it's lying in wait for blood or bloody ambush? Either one. What does it mean?
Erev Dam mean? whether it's lie a verb, okay, lie in wait for blood, or a noun, okay, are a bloody ambush. Okay, Yala.
So what does it mean, or why does it specify the words of the wicked and the mouth of the upright? We'll say
Okay.
them.
Why does this pasuk focus on the speech, right? Words of the wicked versus mouth of the upright. Yeah, Rifki or Mayan, I can't tell who's asking the question.
We both have.
Okay.
So my question is an extension of number 2.
Yeah.
It sounds like from the wording in the pasuk that would be that the words of the Rishonim are waiting in blood.
Yeah.
As itself. So I'm not really sure how to put that as a question, but what?
Okay. Yeah. So, it's actually interesting because I think I'm starting to warm up to the translation that it's they are a bloody ambush, because if it were divrei rashaim, if this is a verb, I don't exactly know what word it would use, but it would be plural. It would be that the words of the wicked, probably like yarvu dam, not that they erev dam, that they are a bloody ambush. So so the question is, sorry, so what was your question again? I just jogged my memory.
It doesn't really sit if you keep it as a bloody ambush. It would only work if it's like waiting in blood, because then it'd be like where the words waiting in blood as opposed to the Rishaim. Okay, right. Okay, so I don't know if that's a question on 2 or 3. I'm going to put it on 3. Okay, which is what would it mean for the words of the wicked to wait in blood, ambush? Wait for blood. Yeah.
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 I have 2 questions also.
Yeah.
One, which I'm actually not sure if this is what you just asked in different words. But my question is, or if it's been asked already, but how does the words of the Rishaim cause blood, or like whatever that actually means, wait for blood, cause it? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And then also, like,
I think that's what Mayan was saying. But I mean, it's like I'll just add the word how. Okay, how does this work?
And then also I had another question. Obviously it's on the other half, like how does the words of the Sadiq or the Yesharim save them?
Okay.
Another question, but I can't remember it right now.
Okay.
So
How do the words of the Yesharim save them? Okay. Good basic questions. Yeah, Ariel?
Yeah. Is bloody ambush the opposite of save them?
Okay, that's a good question. Yeah. All right, so that's a good question. So how, if at all, are the 2 halves of the pasuk opposites, right? Is bloody ambush the opposite of salvation? Yeah.
And also, like, who's the audience?
Yeah. Okay, who is the audience? Who is the audience of this pasuk? Yeah, Isaiah?
Okay, 2 questions. So back in the words, what are the words? Like, what are they saying that's causing this? Like, is there a particular type of content?
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna say what words?
And then also, is it significant that it's divrei rashaim and then p yesharim, like
Okay, yeah,
different?
That's
Those
good
are
question.
different.
Okay, so yeah, is there a difference? I'll put this here. Is there a difference between words of the wicked and mouth of the upright? Yeah, Ayala?
I'm not sure if this is the same as 1, but what are they being saved from?
Yes, right. Okay. Yeah, what are they being saved? I'll put it on question 6, I guess. What are they being? Actually, no. Actually, I'll just put this as a separate question. This could go into lots of questions. Okay, so what No, I'll put it here. What exactly are they being saved from? Yeah, Rivki and Mayan.
Yeah, so this was, I don't think it's necessarily, it could be a question, but I think it's just more like an observation or like a thought that in the first half, it says like, it's the words of the Rishaim, and then it's like a very physical result. And then in the other half, it's the mouth of the Yesharim. And then it's like, it doesn't necessarily mean physical, like at all. It could be like spiritual, it could be emotional, it could be mental.
Yeah, maybe.
Be a physical thing.
Saving someone from murder.
Well, why are you saying murder?
Well, because blood.
Oh, you're saying that it's from the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think plain shot is that like the words of the Rishaim are like waiting to kill somebody, and then the Yesharim are saving them from that death. You know.
It was not. That's interesting. I wasn't thinking of it like that.
Oh, so how are you thinking of it?
I was thinking of it.
Just save in general.
Like not necessarily just like in general, but I wasn't thinking of it. I think your way makes more sense, but I wasn't necessarily thinking of it as like the same subject, like that the Rasha and Sharim were in the same situation. Like,
okay, yeah. So I think that has to be the case because it saves. Well, actually, it doesn't have to be the case. I guess it depends on who the them is, right? Because if the them is the would-be victims of the Rishaim, then they have to be interacting. But if it's talking about like in situation A, this is what the Rasha does, and in the same situation, this is what the Yashar does, then they don't have to be in the same thing. But yeah, okay. I'm glad you asked that anyway. Yeah, Ariel?
Yeah, multiple questions. One is, I'm assuming we know that the guy's a Rasha.
Good question. It is a good question. Hold on. I mean, someone has to know that he's a Rasha in order for the pasuk to be applicable, right? But it might be that only the Yashar knows that this is a Rasha, because the Rasha here, especially the Rasha, is being depicted as hiding in ambush, you know? So let's just ask that as a question here, which is do we know, are we able to identify the Rasha in this situation? Or is he so good at ambush that only that I guess that he is concealed? You know, in fact, I might even go so far as to say that it's possible that the Yashar doesn't know that he's a Rasha. You know, it could be that the Yashar is just through the way the Yashar talks that like or whatever he's doing with the saving, then it's going to end up saving the victim even without, or saving themselves even without necessarily knowing that the Rasha was there. I don't even know.
Yeah, so I have multiple follow-up questions on that, but not my other question yet. Okay, so why are you assuming that the Yashar knows he's a Rasha?
No, I am not. I just said I'm not assuming that. I'm saying that it's possible that the Rasha is so skillful at being an ambush that he doesn't know it. I would assume that he does know it, but I'm saying it's possible that he doesn't.
Okay, fine. Now it's interesting that the second half of the pasuk uses someone who's a Yashar.
Yeah.
Versus like a tzaddik.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right.
And what's the opposite of a Yashar again?
Opposite of a Yashar, I think we had a Bogate as the opposite of a Yashar.
Bogate, right?
Yeah, right. Bogate. Okay, so likewise, in what sense is the Rasha the opposite of the Yashar? Yeah, right. Okay, let's say as opposed to Rasha versus Tzaddik, or Yashar versus Bogade. Yeah, good call. Okay, I think my dad is next.
Yeah. Why does the ambush need to be bloody? What is the quality of?
Okay, that's okay. So let's put that under the question 2, which is what does the word blood mean in this context, right? So if it is if they are lying in wait for blood, so let's say if they are lying in wait for blood, and blood mean, so does blood mean literal murder or something else? Okay, and if it is a bloody ambush, what does bloody mean? Yeah. Okay, Alex?
My question is about potential chronology. Like, is the Yashar saving them from being ambushed altogether, or are they saving them, like, after someone's been injured, you come in as a medic and you help them, like, after the
Okay.
fact?
Okay, that's good. Oops, hold on. Why is my... Does it look all blurry to you on the...
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Let me just save this and then reopen it, see if that works. Okay, where do we have the salvation thing? and when does this salvation take place? Yeah, I'm gonna actually put all these into one question. So how do the words save them? What are they being saved from? And when does the salvation take place? And you said before they are, what were the two possibilities you said?
I said before they're ambushed altogether, like they prevent the ambush from happening, or is it that the ambush occurs and then they're coming in to like help heal your wounds or whatever?
Altogether, okay. Or do they swoop in after the ambush takes place? Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, Ayala?
What is the Yashar? Who is the Yashar?
Yeah, okay, good. We didn't ask that. Let's ask it for the Rasha also. What do the terms Rasha and Yashar mean in this context? Wow, there's a lot more questions than I was expecting. Yeah, Ariel, you have another one?
Yeah, this is I guess more of a methodology question.
Yeah.
So now that we know that there aren't that many meforshim who take this up, how far can we go with our speculation?
So I don't think it should affect the way that we learn the pasuk, because we always take it as far as we can anyway, and then go to the meforshim. And it's not that there aren't meforshim who say stuff; it's that they're very sparse in their comments. So I don't think it should change our methodology.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I think the only time I would say that it might is sometimes you get a question, or you get a pasuk with a bunch of questions, and the meforshim say 0. That usually should raise some eyebrows. Like that would make me wonder, am I missing something? But here it's just that they're very, very sparse.
Got it. And I guess another question is like what's the context, or like what's the story over here?
Yeah, what's the scenario? Yeah.
Right, scenario.
Yeah. Okay. What decision making scenario is this talking about? Okay. Yeah. My dad has another question. Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is appropriate for this word, but usually we're talking about the tzaddik.
Right.
But now we're talking about the upright.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So that is, we listed that over a slightly different way, but we said, in what sense is the Rasha the opposite of Yashar, as opposed to Rasha versus Tzaddik or Yashar versus Bogey? Yeah. Okay. So let me do this. This is a lot of questions. I think I'm going to just copy and paste everything and put it in the chat. And then we'll keep our eyes on the pasuk here. Okay. So there's the translation. And then let's do half the psukim. Let's see. Let's do questions and problems. 1 through 5. And then 6 through 8. And then 9 through 11. Oops. What just happened? Hold on. Okay, I don't know why, but okay, this doesn't bother me. All right, 9. It reset all the numbers. 10, and then 11. Okay. All right, so let us do what we always do, which is to take our thinking minute and then go to full ideas first and then half-baked ideas. All right, this is a tough one here. Actually, I'm going to make an executive decision. I think what I might do, because Yashar is a technical Mishlei term, I am going to review before we start thinking. I'm going to review the definition that we had before. Okay, I'm going to review the two definitions. There was Rבינו Yona, Yashar. No, let's see, Yashar. Mishlei Yashar. I hate Bing. Rבינו. Let me see if it's in this file. Okay, I'll have to go there the old-fashioned way. On All Torah. Okay, so Rבינו gives his definition of the Yashar in Mishlei 11. Actually, let me just try that. Rבינו Yona Mishlei 11. Yeah. Okay. Good. I just didn't include it in the title. Okay. So Rבינו Yona says that the Yashar, Inyan Torah Yashar, the and this is not the smoothest worded definition here, but we'll make do. So he says, Yashar, an upright person, is Ohev HaYosher Ubocher HaTzedek VaHanachona. He loves uprightness and chooses righteousness and what is proper, what is right. Uvichlal Torah Hazeh. And included in this description is that he has to actually recognize what uprightness is, and his mind must be firm in the truth. Because you can't call someone a lover or a chooser without them, unless they recognize that which is the object of love and choice. So in other words, some things in Mishlei are just descriptions are just based on the actions or the decisions, but they don't need knowledge. Here, this guy needs to have a knowledge of righteousness, and based on the knowledge, he loves it. So his nature, meaning his personality, it includes these two things. That his disposition is towards the upright in all of his inquiries and all of his investigations. And his desires are also towards the upright. They yearn towards the upright. Human perfection consists in the rational faculty and the desire, the appetitive faculty, the psychological, the desire, the emotional part of you, in line with each other. He derech hayosher, and that's the way of the yosher. So, in my own words, this means that that this is someone who has knowledge of righteousness, and it's to the and what is righteousness and truth, and it's to the point where they are drawn in their intuition, in their intellectual intuition towards the truth, and they're drawn in their behavioral intuition towards doing what is right and what is just, not out of some like just personality trait. Like there's certain people who stick up for justice and for what is right just because that's how they were raised, or because they're very passionate, or because they want fairness, but they don't really have a knowledge of justice. But the Yashar is someone who has a knowledge of justice, and he's drawn that way. And that's why, in my understanding of Mishlei, the Yashar is, I think I did this. Well, I think I held that the Yashar is on a higher level than the Tzaddik. I just want to see how I put it on my Mishlei spectrum, which again is not updated. Mishlei spectrum, but I just want to see in terms of my oh, weird. Maybe I've changed my opinion then. No, I guess the reason why I put him here, I think the reason why I put the Yashar before the Tzaddik is because the Tzaddik also has an understanding of systems, and the Yashar doesn't necessarily have that. But I can see an argument where the Yashar is ahead of the Tzaddik, and I can also see an argument where it's talking about two different things. In fact, the last time we did Mishlei with Yashar and the Bogade, and the Yashar and the Tom, and then the Bogade, and I forgot who the other guy was. So this was I call this Zach's definition, even though it wasn't his definition, because he wrote down all the notes on it and he sent me the notes. That there we said that Tzaddik and Rasha really pertain to how you relate to the system, whereas Yashar and Bogade relate to how you relate to your own, pertain to how you relate to your own values. We said that a bogey is someone who betrays, who is internally inconsistent and hypocritical, and yashar is internally consistent. Those, I think, are the two definitions I remember. I don't know if anyone remembers any other definitions, feel free to share it. But those are two definitions of yashar that I think we've had in recent times.
I just reshared it in the WhatsApp chat.
The WhatsApp chat. Okay, fine.
Where Zach
Okay.
jotted down term
Okay.
definitions.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, fine. Yeah, right. I'll just read it. It was, he says, Yashar describes the relationship between the person's intellectual faculties and appetitive faculties. So he got this from Rבינו Yona also, especially aligning desires to fit the goals and rationale of the intellect. Yashar quality is the pursuit of aligning the appetitive desires to the mind. Okay, Tzaddik describes the relationship between a person's own desires and benefits and the external needs and benefits of other individuals in the society. Okay, and then Bones is someone who harnesses or pledges his mind to his desires instead of his desires to his mind. So that's the opposite of the Yashar. Yashar's emotions are in line with the desires. Desires are in line with the mind, and a Boged is the other direction where the mind is a slave to the desires. Rasha is someone who places his ego above others so that he's willing to or does harm to them on a societal level. Okay, all right, that was good notes. Thank you, Zach. Okay, all right. So now let's get back to our thinking time. Okay, now that we have, and again, you don't feel constrained to work with that definition. It could be that there's a new definition that comes from here, but just in case you need something to work with, because this is such a weird term. Okay, let's think. I'm gonna say ambush. Wait for blood sounds like a vampire at a restaurant. I'll interrupt with something after. Okay, before I call on people, I also want to, I meant to say this earlier. I want to show you that Shlomo HaMelech is referring to an earlier parak in Mishlei where he goes through this as a more elaborate example. Hold on just a second here, I'm just looking for it. Yeah, so this is in the very beginning of Mishlei when he warns his son not to hang out with the bad guys. He says, B'ni im yifatucha chatayim al taveh, my son, if sinners seduce you, do not give in. Im yomru, if they say, L'cha itanu, come with us. Ne'erva ladam, let us lurk in ambush for blood. Nitzpana lanaki chinam, we will hide out for an innocent victim. Nivlaim kisha ulchaim, we will swallow them up like the grave, whole living, meaning we'll just like take them for everything they got. And intact, going down to the pit. Kolhon yakar nimsa, we will find all forms of precious wealth. Nimale vatenu shalal, we will fill our houses with spoils. Goracha tapil besochenu, cast your lot in with us, or your lot in with us. Kis echad yiluklan, we'll have one money pouch for all of us. B'ni al telach b'derech itam, my son, do not go on the way with them. Mina raglecha minisivasam, withhold your foot from their paths. Ki raglehem laraya rutu, their feet run to do evil. V'yimahu lishpoktam, they hasten to spill blood. Ki chinam nazar harashas beina kol ba'al kanaf, because the net seems to be spread with free bait in the eyes of every winged creature. Behim ladam ye'erovu, again, second reference. They lurk in ambush for their blood. Yitzpenu l'nafshosam. So there it's talking about this mashal of the that you think you can go and just steal stuff from people, but they, and it's unclear who the they is here, are waiting in ambush for the blood like a hunter waiting for the bird. Okay, so this is, I don't know if that's gonna be relevant, but that is what he's referencing. Okay, let's go with Isaiah first. Go ahead, Isaiah.
Okay. So I think that this is talking about like a situation where I was talking to a third party and they need to go and like confront a Rasha or talk to a Rasha.
Okay.
So they should know that like everything the Rasha is trying to do is like to sort of is like either for their own gains or to like take them down,
Okay.
like through like lashon hara or motzi shem ra. But like it's entirely like they're trying to cause evil with their words.
Yeah.
So it helps to bring someone who just like recognizes justice like along with you to like combat that evil. Like let's say the rush, like so if you bring along a yashar with you, then like you'll have backup. You'll have someone who will be like, oh, you're saying something that's not true. This person is not actually like a bad person like you're saying, or something like that. Like they'll always stick up for you because they want to correct the distortions that the Rasha is making.
All right, I like the approach. So let me restate the first half and then propose a question for developing the second half. So we generally have taken the approach, or we've worked on defining our approach of the Rasha as someone who basically is out there for power and greatness at all costs. And that Rasha will be willing to trample on anyone and everyone and destroy whatever he needs to, or take the resources of whatever he needs to in order to get to the top. So even to the point where he'll be willing to totally destroy someone in order to get there. So when you deal with the Rasha, like Isaiah is saying, you need to realize that is what he's going to be willing to do, and you have to be on guard against that. But the problem is that you don't necessarily know how to be on guard against that, especially because they are working in ambush. So you need to bring a yashar along to be able to call out the Rasha and expose his plot. Okay, so 2 questions just to refine this. I think this is a good idea. Is number 1, what is being brought out from the fact that it uses the word ambush for the Rasha? And 2, what is it about the yashar that allows him to thwart the plans?
I have an answer to number 1.
Okay, go ahead.
Is that like he's not like maybe gonna speak Risha's words to you, maybe not. Like when you go, he's like, that's like what his modus operandi is. Like he's going to do this, and like you walking into that trap is like you walking into a conversation with him. It's like walking to an ambush of Divrei Rasha.
Okay, so maybe I missed that. Hold on a second. Sorry, say that one more time.
This is just how he works. He speaks like a Rasha. So like you should know that going to him is not like maybe you're gonna be affected by him, maybe not. It's like walking straight into a trap of like definite.
So that's the ambush. Okay, right. So it's not just something in his arsenal. This is definitely going to happen. Okay. And then do you have an answer for how the Yashar is able to save you? Like why Yashar instead of, let's say, Tzaddik or Chacham or something like that?
Well, it sounded like because the Rasha, like his evil words like distort reality, and it sounds like the Yashar wants to correct that.
Okay.
He wants to bring it back to truth. Okay.
So it's possible I'm just being influenced by the pasukim we're doing in the morning, which is about different types of knowledge. But I think that, the Rabbeinu Yona described the Yashar as someone who is drawn to truth and righteousness in everything. My understanding of the Yashar is that he has a very strong intuition about justice and truth. So he's going to be able to spot when there's something off. In other words, like this, because the Rasha is cunning, I guess I'm slightly interpreting it different than Isaiah, even though I'm not disagreeing with him. I think it's ambush because the fool will act against you openly. The Rasha realizes that the only way to really succeed is he needs to conceal his intention until it's too late for the victim. So he's going to be working under the surface, and he's going to be really, really good at covering up his plot and using lies and distortions and luring you in. But that warping of reality is going to be detectable by the Yashar, who has a finely honed sense of righteousness and truth, and he's going to be able to spot that. And it's interesting because the tzaddik, the tzaddik might, be able to do this, but the thing is that the tzaddik is on the lookout for. Okay, I mean, this might be saying something mistaken about the tzaddik, but I'm going to say this because this is what I'm thinking right now. The tzaddik understands just systems, okay, like that's his whole jam, and he also understands people who are a danger to just systems. But I don't know if he's necessarily going to understand the lengths to which the Rasha could go to lie, because sometimes when you see the way that a system works properly, you're not even thinking on the level of like the way that you can like create an underlying manipulative black market type system to subvert the entire thing. In other words, it's like there's a level where it is too, I don't want to make it sound like the tzaddik is naive, because he's not naive, but like what it reminds me of is like the magician, the amazing Randy, did these things where like he tricked scientists. Scientists were like doing tests to specifically test whether like there are these occult phenomena that are real, and they were doing it on the amazing Randy's students, who the amazing Randy had trained, and the amazing Randy told the scientists what to look for, and the students were still able to trick them. And the reason why is that scientists are used to dealing with a world where, yeah, there's a lot of chaos and disorder, but they're looking for lawfulness and stuff that makes sense, but they're not looking to be duped. Like they're not on the lookout to be duped by these things. So you need someone with that intuition. So I'm saying that tzaddik doesn't necessarily have that intuition to tell when the Rasha has completely like fabricated the whole thing. Or another example. Sorry, I know there's other people waiting. I'm gonna give another example. There's this documentary I watched.
Are you going to explain that part too? Just if you're going there, sorry. Can I'm sorry if I'm interrupting. Are you also going to contrast this to Chacham or only tzaddik?
I will try to contrast it to Chacham in a second. I'll give you another example though. There's this documentary on Netflix that I watched earlier this January. Hold on just a second. I want to recommend it. It is called Made You Look. Okay. And it is about, I think I might have mentioned it in Mishlei before. It is about, I think the biggest art scandal, art scam in American history. I don't know about world history. And basically like this, this art dealer claimed to have found all of these early paintings from these really famous American abstract artists, and ended up fooling all of the greatest art experts in America. And like everyone kind of like wanted to believe it, because everyone wanted like it to be true that like, oh, there's these Jackson Pollocks, and it was like some crazy amount, like $60 billion worth of art, or some crazy amount, I think. Was it billion? I don't even remember now anymore, but it was like some crazy amount. But the thing is, similarly, like these were artists who were trained to like let's say like you had a Jackson Pollock expert, and like he's known all these Jackson Pollock things, and he authenticated it as real, and other people did as well. And what ended up happening, spoiler alert, is that the scam involved someone who was actually just that good of an artist, like who was actually like painting these paintings that were that mimicked these great artists, this guy from China, and just everyone was just looking at the quality of the art and not even thinking someone could have trained themselves in like duplicating like these real artists, So that's what I mean, where like the Yashar, something could be off. He'll sense something is off. The tzaddik is so preoccupied with like the ideal systems that he might not even sense when something is off. And the Chacham is not even in the ballpark, because the Chacham is only looking at linear consequences down the line. Chacham is someone who sees the consequences. If A happens, then B will happen. He's maybe he'll say to himself, I think the best the Chacham can get is, okay, this guy is a Rasha, I better be on the lookout, because Rashaim like manipulating people. But I don't know if he has the tools to really detect, how the manipulation is going to work. Okay. Any questions on this idea or developments on this idea before we go into new ideas?
Just that last part.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Chacham is like the lowest tier of being able to detect like sheker, basically.
Of the people who we mentioned, not the lowest, absolutely.
Right, sure. But of these three, and that's because his approach is
just consequences. Yeah, and that's based on my working definition of Chacham. But we did a new definition of Chacham last week in Morning Mishlei. Not a new one, but the alternative one, which is a Chacham is based on is someone who has received knowledge, as opposed to like someone who can think independently. That Chacham is even less equipped, because he's totally dependent on being told by other people, so he is like very subject to being manipulated by the Rasha.
Okay, actually, that really helps for my understanding. Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
I have another question.
Sure, go ahead, Ayala, and then Rifki.
Okay, so I was gonna ask, I understand what the Divrei Rishaim is doing, like the words specifically in the first half.
Yeah.
But why is it specifying the mouth of the upright in the second half?
Right. So I am going to assume that we are talking about a case where we are where all of the evil and good is happening through words. Okay, so this might be in, I guess, in the modern example of like someone is trying to like make a business deal and like swindle you and get you to agree with something. Like I watched on recommendation, Alex, thank you for recommending it. I watched Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio last night. And like, you know, I think this is in the original also, is that the bad guy tricks Pinocchio into signing a contract that like basically makes him into like a slave, you know, in a way. So, you know, that's all through verbiage, and the Yashar will be able to, you know, in other words, I don't think it's just, okay, with the Rasha, it's not just his words, it's his mind that manifests itself through speech. It's his like ability to use words to manipulate people, and the Yashar would be able to use words to disentangle, you know, to warn the victim and to call out the Rasha. I think like those are the two ways that he's going to be able to do this. You know, like explaining to the victim, to the would-be victim, how he's being duped, and then also to publicly call out the Rasha for like trying to trick people. You know. Yeah, it's a good.
Okay,
question.
can I ask another follow-up question on that?
Sure.
Okay, so I know Isaiah mentioned that like you should bring the Yashar in with you type of thing.
Yeah.
Do you have to do that, or can you like go to the Yashar afterwards type of thing and explain to him what happened?
So I think that there is a risk of waiting because it might be too late. You know, like these Rishaim, part of a trap is like they want to trap you. You know, like they want to make it so that like you, once you get in, you can't you can't escape. And so it might be too late to you know, to turn to him afterwards. And that's like also addressing Alex's chronology question. You know, like you need a Yashar there to help you. And you know, this is not a weakness of the idea. It limits the pasuk though, because practically speaking, you'll need to be accompanied by a Yashar. But you know, I think that what Isaiah said makes sense. Yeah. Okay, Rifki.
Yeah, so first I have a question, but I actually like had a thought about what Ayala asked like right before she asked it.
Sure.
And I think it's like somewhat similar to what you said.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, and I think we mentioned this in a previous year, like I don't even know, one like a while ago.
Yeah.
But divrei versus p is like divrei is like singular words, like obviously like it could be like sentences and whatever, but it's not like a holistic way of like describing what a person's, I guess, like mindset is. Whereas I feel like more holistic way of speaking about it, because you're speaking about the whole mouth, whereas divrei is just specific words. Like the Rasha is like literally what you said, like the Rasha is literally using words to manipulate you, but it's not his true mindset. Whereas
that's interesting.
Is like a more, you know,
okay. I was gonna say that sounds really good. I always forget what we say about all those like lips versus mouth versus tongue versus, you know, but that sounds really good for today. Yeah.
I think we have said it before, but I don't remember.
Okay, yeah, I trust your memory. Yeah, just
I don't know if I would say that, but okay. And then my question was on what you said originally about this idea was, I guess, like a developmental question. Do you have to be a Yashar before you can be a tzaddik? Because if you do, then wouldn't you assume that like what you were saying about quote unquote being naive, like wouldn't necessarily apply?
Yeah, so I'm undecided on that question. Like according to Zach's definitions, these are like on two completely different axes. You know, there's the axis of how you interact with others, and then there's the axis of how your internal world interacts with its own values. So you could have someone who is a Yashar and a tzaddik, someone who's a tzaddik and not a Yashar. Maybe. Wait, hold on. Does that make any sense?
Can I speak to that point for a second?
Let me finish my thought. If I can recall it. Yeah, I'm of two minds, because it might just be talking about two separate qualities. I'm also of two minds because for some reason today I'm thinking that the Yashar is more developed than the tzaddik. I can't quite explain why that intuition is there. Yeah, I got to think about it some more. It's a fair question though. Yeah, Ariel.
Yeah, I mean, don't we say that you know, that like the difference between like Yitzchak and you know like Abraham and Yaakov, like Yitzchak, I don't remember who I heard this from, but I definitely heard it from one of the Rambam in the yeshiva, that like Yitzchak didn't really see, you know, like wickedness in his life or anyone trying to like, you know, con him. So like he kind of like didn't have that sense of you know, a feeling that someone was gonna manipulate him for like, you know, injustice. So he was kind of oblivious to that world. But like Abraham and Yaakov, like they weren't. They were exposed to that, and they they were used to it. They had like an intuition of like what was.
Yeah, I've heard that idea said in yeshiva also, and I always have problems with it. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I and I don't know. I also don't know who said it. But I
At least I'm not making it up.
Yeah. Yeah. If I had to say anything about Yitzchak's case, it would not be because of that, because the tzaddik definitely needs to understand the nature of evil. I don't think you can be a tzaddik unless you understand the nature of evil.
No, you could understand the nature of
Right.
evil, but that doesn't.
But practically being skilled in in guarding against being duped, I think we see from here, from my explanation from before, on Isaiah's idea that I think a tzaddik might still fall into this trap. And I think in Yitzchak's case, I think it was more of a problem of the way Yitzchak related to Esav. That was his blind spot. Like I think if someone from the street, let's say someone from Sodom and Amorah came, I guess if it was still around, and tried to actually Sodom and Amorah is a bad example. Whatever, some other person who Yitzchak had no history with, and tried to trick him. I feel like Yitzchak would be a lot quicker to see that than with Esav. Esav was just so good at portraying himself to be a tzaddik from a young age, and Yitzchak wanted to believe that. I think that's more about that relationship than in general.
I hear.
Yeah.
I mean, I also do have a question on Isaiah's point. We're still taking questions.
Yeah.
So I just want to get clarity on his main idea. Like, is his idea specific to a situation where, the Rasha is trying to hurt him for his own benefit?
Yes, I mean the Rasha is always going to be looking out to promote his own self-interest, and he'll stop at nothing. And I think to answer the question of why blood, even to the point where he's going to be willing to kill you, without spoilers over the show was canceled anyway, but over the course of the entire show, you really see this play out in House of Cards, where the main characters are Rashaim, and all they want is power, and it eventually gets to the point where they're willing to literally kill people in order to maintain their power.
Right, and just to finish his thought, Isaiah's idea, meaning and the Yashar will help him. How will he help him? By him being there, present.
Yeah.
With the Rasha.
So I'm going to qualify what I said earlier. So I do still think, just to answer Rifki's question, is that ideally you want the Yashar there to defend you in real time. If you can't have that, you're still going to want to go to a Yashar to try to assess what happened and to make sure that you didn't get victimized by the Rasha. But that's that. And the reason why you need the Yashar is because, and that's the chiddush is, don't just think that you can save yourself from this Rasha, even if he's a Rasha. That's the thing, because Rishaim are very skilled at manipulating, and so don't trust in your own intuition. You need someone who's trained in truth and justice in order to be able to spot this.
Okay, yeah, I guess after tomorrow's thought, I have a spin-off idea of Isaiah's idea.
Okay, let's just, any other questions on Isaiah's? Okay, so let's go to Tamar now.
I mean, it's not really a question. It's more of another comment about why the word Dom.
Okay.
It's just,
Sure, that's fine.
I was thinking along the lines of Dom implies that it's bloody, which would be an unseemingly a seemingly unnatural thing, as opposed to just the way the world works. So the words of the Rishaim would lead to an unnatural negative situation, outcome. But the words of the Yesharim would end up saving that because of the nature of a Yashar.
I'm not exactly sure if I understand how Dam means unnatural.
Because I was thinking of the Erev Dam as the picture of a bloody ambush as not just a natural death, or not just sometimes in life things go bad and that's just the way it works. But when you put in the bloody imagery,
right,
it's something.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right. So in English, if we said you don't say you would not use the word massacre unless it was an unnatural crime. You don't say massacre with just like a normal like thing that occurs in nature,
Yeah.
Okay, I hear that's a good nuance. Okay, Tamar, you're up.
Okay, so this is, I think, a different angle.
That's fine.
So I think that, so I was interpreting Erev Dam as like slander, like speech with the intent to,
Okay.
let's say, destroy someone's reputation or
that's
something
good.
like that.
I think
So
that's going to be much more common than literal murder. So I think
Okay.
that's an advantage. Yeah.
yeah, and so then what you could maybe say that the pasuk is saying is that, like, sort of like, how do you get out of that problem? Let's say someone has already slandered
Yeah.
you. Like, the thing that's gonna help the most is if someone vouches for you who is
Ah,
really like completely consistently honest for a long
Yeah.
period of time and has no ulterior motives and is generally very much like a truth focused person. I think
Okay.
that's the person who could protect you the best.
okay, that's a great interpretation. Okay, good. Let's just think about that for a second and see if we have any other additional comments or questions. It's a nice, clean idea. Yerushalayim ambush in blood. So we can say the same motives that we said before, right? That the Rasha is going to want to destroy anybody for his own self-advancement. It's just that we're changing what Erev Dam is, that we're talking about even it could be character assassination. But all I think all the same like dynamics apply to the Rasha. And then but the difference here is not that the P Rashaim is going to see through their lies. This actually is a better answer to the question Ayala asked about why P Rashaim. That here it's that he's going to vouch for you and save your reputation. And to answer Alex's question, this is not happening preemptively. This is happening like after the damage is done, and he can undo the damage because people will trust him. That's very good. Okay, I'm just going to make a note to myself before we go on. Okay, so tomorrow I'll type these out, Bleednetter, later on. Tomorrow is the character assassination. And oops, sorry, that's not how you spell assassination. And reputation restoration by the Yashar. Okay, very good. Anyone have anything else to add on that? Okay, I think Chizkiyahu was next, and then go with Ariel after.
Okay, so mine's also different.
Okay, sure.
So I was gonna say that so focusing on, okay, I'll start with the words being different in the mouth. I think it's closer to like thoughts, and like without even having to go anyone, generally like the world is more filled with, I think, what's advertised and what you hear in general, and even in your own mind, you're going to be more influenced and hear more rather lies and deceitful advice, false ideas, and even your own impulses. So whether it's from someone else or not, and if you don't take that to like a yasher, then that advice is going to get you into trouble. Basically, it's gonna cause your downfall. And so that's why the reason it's the mouth is because it takes a more physical, like you have to do something actively in order to be saved from it. And so here you not only you can't even just compare like, oh, these words versus those words, because the words are closer to you. And so you need to actively like seek out a yasher and say, hey, this is what I've heard. This is the idea. Does something seem wrong about that to you, or should I proceed with that? And he'll be on your point about the ability to detect if something or where the deceit is. That's what his ability is, and so that's why he can save you from that, whereas you couldn't, because it's so almost like pervasive and subtle that it just
okay.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you why I initially didn't like your idea, and then why I like it now. Okay, which is that at first I was thinking, I think maybe because we were doing this for the other two approaches, is I was thinking like Rishaim are really one thing that Rishaim have going for them, I guess, not going for them. That one upside of Rishaim in terms of lying is they are really only going to lie to advance their own selves.
Right.
And I was thinking like the Rasha is not necessarily going to fill your head with lies unless it's for his own like greatness or self-advancement. So that's why I was not warm to your idea. But then I realized the question that we had before, that if you treat it as though, I don't know how grammatically how this works out, but the words of the Rishaim lurk in ambush.
right.
So then I see where you're coming from. And I think if you take this out of, we were kind of in a Mishleic interpersonal circumstance. But if you take this into, I don't know if Rashi does this, but like a more of a Rashi way where this is more talking about like Divrei Rishaim is like false ideas,
Right.
or like false worldviews. And it could even come from false worldviews that stem from Mishlei Rishaim, like, Stalin advanced a false worldview, Hitler advanced a false worldview, like those words that were generated because of the Russia's motive for self-advancement will take on a life of their own, and they will get into you, and they'll lurk in ambush because they'll affect your thinking, and you'll need a Yashar to go and straighten them out.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So let's see here. So Hizkiyahu is talking about the words of the Rasha will get into your head and lurk for your life, and you need a Yashar to consult a Yashar. You need to consult a Yashar or to be saved from them. Okay, that's good. Okay, Ariel.
Yeah, so based off of how you described Chizkiyahu's idea, it's possible that I'm saying like him.
Okay.
Possible. But I was, it's, maybe, it's interesting. We always assume that the Rasha is, is out, to benefit himself, which is true. I'm also wondering if it's a possibility that, he's also, maybe the first half of the pasuk is saying like, what is he ambushing? He's obviously ambushing that, individual. But what exactly about the individual is he ambushing? You could say physical, you could say money, whatever, but maybe he's ambushing the goodness of that individual.
Mhm.
Like the righteous part of the individual by manipulating him into him going on the path of being a Rasha,
Mhm.
or in a negative manner, right?
Yeah.
So and you can't just convert someone to be a tzaddik or a Rasha one way or another. It's a process, but maybe that those lingering thoughts that that the words of the Rasha has imparted onto you, will simmer. And I think that and it's obviously speaking about an individual who is like naive, about the difference between Risham, Tzadikim, and Yashar and whatever. So I think therefore, like, the person who will be able to save him is the one who is actually in tune with the righteous path with his desires. Like he's able to show him on a deeper level of whatever the Rasha said to you, like, I could show you a different route.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So the thing I think you'd have to sell me on in order to get me to buy the goods you're offering here is ambush for blood. Something about that.
Yeah. What's hard to understand? Can you explain your question?
Yeah. I mean, because what and why?
To me, it's like obvious. Like,
yeah. Give me 1 second. I mean, this is also kind of a problem with Chizkiyahu's idea for me, not an absolute problem, but the looking for blood. I think because if we're going for like the soul, then I could see it being a thing where like you are, it's really, you're really talking about the spiritual or the intellectual or whatever it is. Blood does seem to be more physical. Yeah, it's not really an objection. It's just a.
Well, I mean, look, you could say that, if he's a Rashi, he'll get himself killed. You're ambushing his, like.
Doesn't that go against your idea, or doesn't that like not quite jive with your idea?
I think it fits in. I mean, like if if once this person does end up becoming a Rasha based off of the path that he's now being manipulated towards, it's very hurtful, not just for his soul, but for his life too, for the people around him, for himself.
Mm-hmm. And sorry, and are you saying that the Yashar is going to save this guy from becoming a Rasha?
Yes, from endangering himself and the people around him.
Maybe something's just not clicking. Can you say it one more time concisely?
Yes. The subject of the pasuk.
Okay.
From Moscow, so the subject of the pasuk is coming to show you that be wary of the Rasha, because his words can convert you.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And the one who can save you from that distorted, manipulative, Rashaic lifestyle is the Yashar.
Okay.
Based
That
off
is
of
much
his
clearer.
Okay.
Is the Yashar. Okay. Based off of his understanding of
but the key the key about the Yashar is his desires are in line with the path of Tzidkus. Because that, I feel like that's the only way that can help this individual, because I feel like the Rasha's manipulation is his desires to further his
See, so here's where, okay, I mean, I have a hard time saying that the Yashar is the only one who can help him do this, because I feel like the tzaddik is also going to help him, and be able to guide him.
All right, fine, I retract. If I already sold you, I'm not going to oversell you.
No, this is still a problem with your idea. Chazia?
Can I just address two premises that I feel like you have that I want to? Sure. So I feel like one premise is that lying in wait means that that it's actively, like someone is actively targeted you to hurt you. So that's one premise. And I think the other premise that I feel you have, maybe not as strongly, is that this is talking about exclusively like a yasher who is not a tzaddik, or vice versa, that these things are like kind of exclusive to each other. And so, whereas to me, it seems like, addressing the second point first, that a yasher, these terms are more contextually dependent, meaning you can be a tzaddik, but you're acting in a role of a yasher, which is dealing with, in this case, lies, or being able to decipher why is this deceptive.
Right.
And then the lying in wait thing, I think it's a bit more proverbial. It's a more I guess metaphorical in that, because the Rasha, everything he says, it is for his own benefit. He says things, but he's not necessarily doing it to because he's thinking about how, maybe he's going to carry these words off. It's convenient for him to say the things that get him to justify his desires, his philosophy. And it happens to be that now you walk away with those words.
It's not personal.
Huh?
It's not personal.
Not personal to you.
Right.
Yeah. He's not, he doesn't care. He's not so, he doesn't care about what's going on with you, but you are still affected by the words.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's why you're going to the Yasher. And that's
I definitely, both those points make sense. I would agree with that. And I think that is a key difference between Isaiah and Tamar's approach and then Chizkiah and Ariel's approach, in terms of, in Isaiah and Tamar's approach, I think they are specifically targeting you, whereas here you are ambushed because they've cast out such a big net, yeah. Okay. Let's check out, unless there's any other points people want to add or interpretations, let's check out some meforshim here. And see if we can get anything. I hope we can. So we'll start with, we'll do our usually order here. Metzudas David says, Erev is la'arov al dam naki be'edu sheker. Okay, so that's like Tamar, that they are lurking for innocent blood with false testimony. Okay, not like literally like lurking to kill people. And that's why it says the words. And then Yatzilem is Yatzilu es hanidonim. They will save the accused. Ki yarbu lachkor ad yuchachashu zemizeh. They will, this is talking about in a courtroom setting, the Yesharim will interrogate the Rashayim, who are the witnesses, until they contradict themselves, right? So this is basically advice. I mean, in a modern court case, this is basically advice that you got to get a lawyer who's a Yashar, right? Who can expose the internal inconsistencies in the lies of the Rasha. Yeah, so the I didn't mean to say that the whole thing is like Tamar, but this is like a I mean, really the idea is much more like Isaiah, in the sense that you're really depending on the Yashar to save you verbally like he's using his words to get the Rasha to trip up in his words. It's not like the Yashar is vouching for you, like Tamar was saying. Okay, so that's I think good support for Isaiah's. Okay, Rבינו Yona says, Divrei Rishaim Erev Dam. Oh, someone have a thing to say? Oh, I just heard weird noises. Okay. Divrei Rishaim Erev Dam Yoit Ish Es Achiv Larov Dam Nakim. So one man will advise his brother to lie in ambush for innocent blood. Hine ki besichlam v'divrehem ya'azru lachato ulaharshia. With their intelligence and with their words, they help each other to sin and to do wickedness. I don't know why he's making this about like conspiring with each other. Let's see. Upir yesharim yatzilem yatzilu chachmasam es hanakim b'chachmasam es nakim. They will save with their chachma the innocent min harashaim from the wicked. L'damam yerovu. Whose blood the wicked is in ambush for. V'yakuma edei chamas, and false witnesses will rise up. V'yalamdu hayisharim zechus aleim. Oh, that's like tomorrow. And the Yesharim will testify in the merit of these people. Ki hayisharim heim chachmei levu hamakirim derech hayashar v'ohim derech hayosher kasher hikdamu. Because the Yesharim are they are wise and they recognize the upright path and they love the upright path. So it's interesting because I think Tamar's idea worked out better with Zach's definition of Yashar, where they're like internally consistent and like they have integrity, so therefore people will believe them. Rבינו Yona seems to be saying that because they know the nature of uprightness, they'll be able to make a good case that you are upright, or that your intentions were upright, and that will like withstand the accusations of the Rasha. Yeah, Tamar.
Slightly side question, but is
Sure.
the first part referring to those earlier pasukim that you showed us before, where they advised the other one to ambush?
Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Could be. I mean, they were doing that there. Yeah, I don't know why he would refer it here without like an explicit reference, but yeah, it could be. Okay. Okay, good. So we have a support-ish, not ish. We have someone who thought along the same lines as Isaiah, and someone who thought along the same lines as Tamar. Now let's look for Chizkiyahu. Yeah, so now we've found one for Chizkiyahu. So the Meiri and the Derech Nister combines this with the previous pasuk that we did last week. Let's just look at that again. I didn't know this was going to be Chizkiyahu, by the way.
I feel like the Meiri saves me a lot of times.
Yeah, well, he takes things metaphorically, and you two are like metaphor brothers. Yeah. Machshavos tzadikim mishpat takbulos rishayim mirma. The plans or thoughts of tzadikim are justice, and the strategies of the wicked are deceit. So he says, and we're gonna have to ignore the last part because that's for next week. Derek Nisser kavar beyond elo hapsukim. Oh, he only says the two. Machshavos tzadikim v'divrei rishayim lamala b'pasuk be'ein takbulos yipol am. So he says we explained this earlier in another pasuk. Let's look at that. 11:14 in Meiri. Do I have this here? Let me see. 11:14. Wait, was it 11:14 or 11:4? 11:14. Okay, hold on a second. Mishlei 11:14. Let's see if I have. I forgot if back then I was doing the meforshim at the bottom. Yeah. Okay, Meiri. Yeah, okay, fine. So the pasuk says, why did I do different? Oh, I think I did a different font because it looked epic when I wrote the crucible of multiple perspectives. I forgot who came up with that. Okay. Oh, I think probably, yeah. All right, let's see. Be'in takbulos yipol am u'teshuv b'rov yoetz. Without strategies or direction or counsel, the nation will fall, and salvation is with an abundance of counsel. Okay, so Meiri says in the Derech Nister, we have to look at, Ata yodea ki hamalchi. Oh boy. So long. Oh, even longer. Hold on. Let me just see if I can spot the part where he. Okay, I think I found the part where he was talking about. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one. Yeah. He says, "V'yesh od be'elu hamikras kulam derech nistar v'hu b'milchames haTorah v'hachachma." This is in the war of Chachma and Torah. Bifrat b'pinos hamukubalos, especially with the received fundamentals, meaning the things that you cannot prove. Things you cannot prove through logic. Right. So there's certain ideas, just basically certain ideas in Judaism that we can prove strictly through logic, like God's oneness, or nowadays you can have a rational demonstration of the creation of the world, or God not being physical. But then there's certain things we only know through Nevuah, like Mashiach or like Schar v'Onesh. So he says this is especially going to be true with the received fundamentals that you cannot get through proofs. And the people who oppose us will plot to bring proofs against, to bring like contrary proofs. Anu hama'aminim, we believers, we require thoughts and advice and gatherings of knowledge. To the point where we can see clearly the truth that cannot be contradicted. So he's saying if we are clear on these arguments, we'll see that these guys who are bringing these contrary arguments, that is a very good phrase, that that it takes more like leaps of logic to like disagree with these ideas, with these fundamentals, than to agree with them. In other words, like, I mean, the only example of this I know, which I can't go through now, is in the book that Ayala is dead, wrote with the God versus the multiverse, that the arguments in favor of the multiverse are so convoluted and they require so much more faith and twisting of logic that like the simpler explanation is
mental gymnastics.
Yeah. Thank you. The simpler, more straightforward reasoning is that there's an intelligent designer. But you have to see that book to get it. Okay. Okay. You know what? It's too much stuff. I feel like I would have to read through this entire long meiri in order to get the whole thing, which I'm just not going to do tonight. I don't have the energy. But let's read what he says here. I think this still supports Chizkiyahu. He says, so he applies it. He says the arguments that they make with their false proofs, that they lodge against our received traditions, those false proofs will not last. So he does put it in the realm of the false beliefs, and presumably he's going to say that like you need people to save you from those false beliefs in this way. So whether or not it's the same idea as Chizkiyahu, it is referring to the same subject matter, that these are talking. It's talking about the threat of the words of the Rishaim filling your head with false ideas, and you need someone to like show you the logic of it. Okay. Hold on. So now we need to see if there's anyone who supports Ariel about saving you from becoming a Rasha.
Well, right. Okay. So.
Yeah, even if there's no one who says that, doesn't mean that your idea is false. But I'm just skimming really quickly.
I don't know. Wasn't it Rabbi Gover's shiur who said we can't ever come up with anything new, or if someone didn't say it already, one of the Rishonim, we have to join the ranks of the Chachamim? Right?
Yeah, we don't hold that here.
Wait, what did he say? Meaning, like, we can only come up with something that Rishonim came up with? Is that what he said?
If that were in halacha, I believe that that's true, but I don't believe it's true in Mishlei. Yeah,
I'm with you on that one.
Oh, yeah, it looks like the rest of these meforshim are saying variants of the other ones, of the other ideas. There's one hope, maybe Ariel, you have. I'm gonna look at the Gra.
Look, it's okay. I could always just write my own parish and we'll just put it in there.
Yeah, I'm sure you would get as many you'd be as prestigious as the Vilna Gaon.
No,
it's a great attitude,
not like him. Just
no,
like a few notches under him.
Yeah. All right, let's see. P shall Yisrael Shaholach B'derech Yosha Medabrim Tomi Yosha Sil Midivri Rishayim V'od P Rishayim Kasher Tira Shigam HaYisrael Medabrim Imam Kvi Divrem Okay, no. All right. So I mean, we got good ideas tonight. Yeah, Ayala.
I was just wondering if there's any meforshim who understand it as the saving, like the Yesharim saving themselves.
Saving themselves. Yeah, I was also wondering the same thing. Did I see?
So I feel like that could be cool. I don't have
Yeah.
such an idea though.
Yeah, I mean, it's true that they would save themselves, but I think it is not a chiddush in light of Isaiah and Tamar's idea, and it really in terms of everyone's ideas. Like the way we've said it is that, well, Tamar's idea is not really relevant to that, but with Isaiah's idea, like if the regular person only like needs the Yashar to save him, certainly they're going to be able to save themselves. I guess the question would be, what would be the chiddush if it was saying that?
Or can you say that they'll save like everyone else, like kind of ruin the Rishaim? Like save everyone from the Rishaim?
Yeah, the hard part is we'll save them. So it has to be someone that's talked about in the pasuk, right? Either the Rasha, which doesn't make sense, or the ones who have the blood, who's going to be victimized. Yeah. Okay, let's just summarize, and then what we could do afterwards, we haven't had time for it in a while. Let's summarize first. Okay, so we had Isaiah's idea, which is that I'm just going to type this out in full now, which is that the nature of the Rasha who seeks self-advancement at any cost will consistently try to ambush people with his crafty words. Therefore, the only way to guard yourself against this is to employ the Yashar to save you from the inevitable trap of the Yashar, of the Rasha. The Yashar, who has a highly honed intuition for truth and righteousness, will be able to pick up intuitively on the reality distorting lies of the Rasha in a manner that even the tzaddik may not be able to do. Okay, so then we have Tamar, which says first half is the same as Isaiah, but with character assassination instead of literal killing. Okay, and then if you get into this situation, the Yashar can save you. Okay, either by pointing, I'm kind of wrapping Rבינו into this, by exposing the flaws in the Rasha's argument, or by vouching for you, since his testimony will be believed based on the integrity of his character. Okay, or by making an argument to show that you really are righteous. What that last one reminds me of, which we got from Yona, that reminds me of in there's certain scenes in certain movies where there's a court drama where there's like someone who's on trial and it looks like he's going to get convicted, and like you, the audience, know that like he's really a good person. I don't even know what movie I'm thinking of. I feel like I've seen this in many movies. And then like the lawyer or a bunch of witnesses come in and they testify that this person is really a good person despite like the crime that they got accused for. Like the Yasha can do that all through his own verbal defense. Chizkiyahu says that the Rasha will be spouting falsehoods. Okay, and I'm adding here, either because he needs them to prop up his mishleically wicked worldview, or we're talking about a Rasha in the Torah's framework, and his words are like words of like heresy or something, right? Okay.
Yeah, I did mean both those things. So
yeah. Okay, so falsehoods, which will ambush you by getting into your head in a manner that you won't be able to detect or defend against. Okay. If you find yourself in this situation, you need a yashar as a guide to uproot these falsehoods. Yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, Ayala?
I was thinking maybe like just a way to expand all of these ideas somewhat is like both Chizkiyahu's and Isaiah's. I think that you could say that like the Russia could do this on a societal level of like in order to like implement their corrupt society thing, which will help them, they'll either like manipulate the people, and like you could see like Rashaim in power, I guess, doing this, and they'll manipulate the masses. And the only way, and like I guess it's Tzaddik. Maybe the reason it doesn't use a tzaddik, like we were saying before, is a tzaddik can build up his own righteous system and like add and enhance and create a righteous system, but he can't necessarily like take down. I don't know if this is true, but maybe he can't necessarily take down the Russias because like the Russia is so manipulative. So you need a yashar in order to like who's able to be in tune to like I guess like people's like emotions and the way that like the Russia manipulates that. And he's able to like point out the flaws like on a societal level.
Okay, I definitely hear that. Yeah. I think that's going to come down to our question of like what the relationship is between the Yashar and the Tzaddik. We got to see if there's a pasuk in Mishlei that puts two of them together. I mean, the only one I can think of is in Tehillim, but that one doesn't really speak this. Or zarua l'Tzaddik ula yishrei lev simcha. That is Tzaddik and Yashar. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, with that idea that Ayala was just saying, I think it's interesting how like Yaakov being also named Yashar Kel, right? Like this is what his name means really. Like Yisrael, it's two words, it's Yashar Kel, right?
That's funny. The Torah doesn't give that interpretation of it.
Okay, I just always like I heard that forever. My rabbi used to say it a lot. And so I guess but even without the play on words, just that his trait, I guess Ariel also kind of alluded to this, was that he was surrounded by, everywhere he went, there was a lot of things that he had to navigate through in deception. And obviously he's a tzaddik. And so it is kind of like in that capacity he was playing and in the role he was playing. And even actually, I think to add to that, the fact that like Yosef, he recalls like, he kind of like sees like Yaakov kind of speaking to him, so there is even like that moment of like, kind of pulling him out of that. Right. So I don't know. I just think it's kind of a society thing. But
that is a good example to think of with a Yaakov. Okay, last one, Ariel. The pasuk is a warning about being lured again by the Russia's words into becoming a Russia, like the whole first parak of Mishlei. Okay, I think that's a good example of that. And the one who can save you is a Yashar. And there, I would say another question also of, or did I say this already?
Can I actually qualify my statement? Maybe it doesn't necessarily mean he'll be a Russia, but he'll go off to Dara.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good qualification.
Just keep it simple.
Yeah, going off with Dara. Right. So tell me again, did I ask this last time? Why?
I don't think you finished your questions on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, is that why do you need the Yashar to save this person? Because like, let's say for example,
well, I think honestly, like what Ayala said, I thought it works out well. That's kind of what I was trying to say for what.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why you need the Yashar?
Can you say it to answer here? Why is?
Yeah, I mean the way I was understanding is that the Yashar is he's in tune with, like the definition of the Yashar is where he's in tune with like his desires and like with the emotions of whatever he's feeling internally with the just path.
Yeah.
Right. And he's able to, redirect someone who's, not in line with that, or a distorted sense of that, which is causing him from that right path.
Okay. Yeah. So again, I'm not saying that,
and I'm not saying that a tzaddik can't do it. I just think that the Yashar is more.
Right. Well, he's definitely qualified to do it. Yeah. I think my question still is that is, like if the pasuk said tzaddik or even chacham, I would be like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I'm just wondering why. And methodologically, the reason why this question is stronger is because the normal opposite of Rasha is tzaddik. This is like a deviation, so I feel like we need to justify the deviation.
So I think it's because I'm focusing on the words of the Rasha, not the Rasha himself. Like the words of the Rasha are manipulative. Right. And it's kind of one step removed from the Rasha. It's not like the action of the Rasha that's causing him manipulation. But you need the like the Rasha himself is really the one that's kind of like actively saving this guy. Because him by his very nature is contrary to the manipulative.
I hear.
You're not buying it.
I'm not buying it. Let's give it some more thought. Rivki, am I on?
Yeah, just wondering, when you're like, when we talk about the Yashar as someone who's saving or as a guide, could we think of like the Yashar as like, could we be the Yashar ourselves, or do you think it has to be somebody else?
No, you could be the Yashar yourself. I just don't think that the Yashar is going to need this pasuk. Like, I don't think the pasuk is talking to the Yashar. I think that's why like talking about a would-be victim is seems to make most sense that this is talking to.
Okay.
Like the Yashar is gonna save himself because he values truth and justice and is just not gonna be interested in what the whatever the Rush is portraying.
Right. We just came at this because we were thinking about like the strong wording of like the only way to like get out of this would be like
in your summary.
Yeah, that's why that's the other part that bothered me. And again, I see it for Tamar's thing, and I see it for Isaiah's thing. Chizkiyahu's I also see it for, because we're in the realm of the intellectual and the emotional there. I think my only problem is with Ariel's.
But how does the Yashar answer Chizkiyahu's approach again?
Because Chizkiyahu is Davka talking about where the Rush's words get into your emotions and then distort your mind.
How is that different than what I'm saying? Just out of curiosity.
How's that different than what you're saying?
Because that's kind of, I want to know how you're understanding what
that's a good question. Hold on. I don't know why.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Like,
but the difference is like this. Tzaddik is talking about behavior, right? That's what we've been saying right now. Yashar is talking about, like the Yona said, is in his mind he's drawn to the truth, and his emotions are drawn to his mind. So Chizkiyahu is talking about a person whose like beliefs are corrupted. So what term does it make sense for the Torah to use to talk about someone who can straighten out your beliefs? Not tzaddik. That's talking about someone who's going to help you in actions. Yashar is someone who can straighten out your beliefs. But with your approach, Ariel, it's I was understanding your approach as talking about about like Mishleic guidance, where like the Rasha is trying to seduce this person to go off the derech in terms of like, again, like in the first paragraph.
Okay, I think Chizkiyahu and I are saying the same thing. I just think that there are steps to cause your belief system to be corrupt. I just think, like, I don't think it's just the Rush is coming in and automatically your belief is corrupt. No, there's a certain process that gets to that point, because it's like I think that the beliefs sometimes are caused through because you're feeling a certain way, you're going to try to rationalize the way you're feeling,
right,
to contradict the just belief system.
Mm-hmm.
It's a process, which ultimately will cause your belief system to be messed up.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's about the belief system,
right?
It starts on the physical world.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just there's so many pasuk in Mishlei about like a chacham and a tzaddik giving tochacha. Like I don't know.
Right.
I'm so bothered by it.
Okay. Well, I'll think
Yeah,
about
Rifki
it.
Mayan, I think I interrupted you guys. What were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say, like, to finish up what we were asking, I was gonna ask if we could see it as like a developmental thing of like, I guess like you can see every pasuk of Mishlei like this, but I feel like, you know, could we see it as like push to become a Yashar? Because like, I don't know, I agree with you. Like I kind of felt like it was like, oh, like I'm just gonna grab my Yashar friend and then go and do
Yeah.
like easier to be like, oh, like if I get to this level, then
Right.
it's better for me and I don't have to go through that inconvenience.
Yeah. It definitely is indirectly directing you to develop into a Yashar, and then you don't have to. Then you don't need a friend. You know, you don't need to phone a friend.
Needs
you know?
friends.
Yeah.
I'm right.
Actually, that's an
Yeah.
interesting point I wanted to address.
Sure.
So going back to the reason why it's words versus the mouth, and then also kind of the subject that the question of the process of how this happens that Ariel mentioned.
Yeah.
I think the process is you already have an inclination to want to go with whatever's convenient to what you want, which is what motivates the Rasha to say the things that he says. And you hear those and you want to adopt those. The words of a Yashir aren't going to be as appealing to you. And that's so much the case that it might be true that a Yashir eventually can be like pretty much impervious to this kind of influence.
Yeah.
I suppose that's theoretically true. I guess I'm going with a more useful look at it but ultimately you want to be assuming that there's something questionable, something that some bias that you have that you're not aware, that you're not looking at and aware of. And that's why you need to go to someone else to make sure that they can catch you. And what is the thing where you're being a bit more.
Yeah, that's a good point, is that the words of the Rasha are going to be intrinsically more appealing than the words of the Yashar, because that's what they're designed to do. So yeah, that's a good point. All right, Ariel, and then we're going to stop for tonight.
Okay. I'll try one more time. I think I have a reason. I think I might have an answer for why it specifically says a Yashar. Okay. I think that all right, this specific individual, you know, he can be easily influenced by the Rasha. Okay, whatever, how, why, doesn't really matter. He's just influenced, right? Now, I think if we're gonna categorize the Yashar like right before the Tzaddik, I think it works out very well, because the Tzaddik is on a whole different level, but the Yashar is an individual who this individual is able to relate to more from a positive perspective, because he's not so out there where you can even relate to him, but he's at the point where like he can relate to you on that emotional level or in the physical world when it comes to your desires. Yeah. So because you're able to relate to him, he's able to help you. He's able to help you be put on the right track.
Okay, that's much better than the arguments you made before. I think that is a good approach. I think my only question though is, we've seen a lot of psukim about how tzaddikim can also help people get on the right track. And we even saw a pasuk where the tzaddik can help the avil get on the right track because he's so skilled at like arranging for things to like sidestep the avil's resistances. So you know, I think like, so I again, this answer at least explains why it's selecting Yashar. And that's better than the position that you were in before, where my question was, why isn't it selecting tzaddik? You know, but I think that's good. So in other words, the Yashar is still going to be the best like antidote to the Rasha, because he's more relatable than the Rasha.
So what? Just to understand your question right now, what is your question?
I'm saying that right now even though it's true that the Yashar is in a closer, it's going to be easier for this person to be influenced by, the tzaddik still can save the individual from the Rasha. I still do think that. Yeah.
You're tough today. All right.
Yep. Okay. This is a good pasuk though. I'm really happy that we came up with these ideas and that they were reflected in the meforshim. Except Ariel. Okay.
I will have my revenge.
Okay. The best revenge is coming up with better Mishlei ideas.
That's true.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Very good. All but right, I admire your spirit. Okay. All right. Very good. Yep. And Blee Netter next week. All right. Talk to you then. Have a good night.
Bye.